Hey there, seekers of spiritual, tangible results.
Welcome to the no-nonsense zone, where common sense meets the spiritual. I'm Jason Parks.
I'm Emma Romano, your unapologetically real spiritual guides.
We don't sugarcoat, we don't dance around the woo-woo, we just deliver the raw, kick-ass truth.
Join us each episode as we dive deep into the mystical, cut through the bullshit, and show you how to manifest the tangible results you've been craving for.
No fluff, no filters, just two mentors on a mission to elevate your mind, body and soul.
Get ready to transform your life like never before. This is Soul Aligned Results, where spirituality meets the real world. Welcome everybody. This is Emma Romano and the amazing
Jason Parks.
Hello. It's a Soul Aligned Results. This is going to be a short, sweet, juicy one. Are you ready? We are talking about resentment. Resentment's a big one because we all fucking have it. And it is one of the biggest blocks to abundance. It's the biggest block also to, here you go, you ready for this, ladies? Resentment is a block to your feminine energy. It's also a block to being fit and healthy and having a slim belly. Did you know that? Because resentment causes cortisone in the body. Ta-da! And cortisone creates fat. There you go. There you go. It's my 2 bobs worth. Jason, talk to us about resentment.
Yeah, let's talk about it as a energetic principle. So resentment's fascinating. It's the word makes it sound like it's annoyance or frustration.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nothing like that at all from an energetic point of view. One of the things I noticed over working with clients is that I would notice when there were significant shifts in blockages in their body, shifts in trauma, shifts in healing, we'd see that the gallbladder would go through the roof, the energy in the gallbladder and the energy in the liver would go through the roof. Now, in Chinese medicine, they talk a lot about this, and they say that the gallbladder is heavily affected by resentment and the liver is about anger. Now, to understand what resentment is, when there's an injury against the soul or an insult against the soul, the natural response is anger. So we get angry. Now, that anger is very clean. It flares up, it burns off all of that negativity and then leaves space. That's proper anger. Where anger gets mixed with things like envy and insecurity and all that sort of stuff, that's not anger anymore. That becomes various forms of violence. But where that is just in its pure form, it burns really clean, and its purpose is to clean the system. That's what it's for. The spirit wakes up, the spirit pushes that energy out and clears that negativity, and you move forward in safety and strength of the soul. Now, if we're in a circumstance where we can't express that anger, and usually because we're children, or that we feel powerless, or we feel that we're too damn exhausted, or whatever, we can't really hold our ground about what is true for us, then what we'll do is we'll suppress that anger. And when we suppress that anger, it becomes resentment. And that goes deep in the system. And that's what gets in under illness in the body. It changes our hormones. Those hormones then start to affect organ function and the flow, of course, disease. So we notice that with it has a couple of interesting qualities. The first thing is that it fills space. So when new energy wants to come in, new positive, expansive energy, it requires space. So we always have to let go of stuff, usually negativity, in order to create that vacuum. The problem with resentment is that it has the capacity to fill that space. So when you create that space, you might let go of a grievance. You might forgive somebody, for example, and you might do practices for forgiveness. You can sit there and you'll really forgive them for the way they treated you. And you go, yep, I have completely forgiven them, not a problem at all. And I still feel awful. And the reason is because you haven't got the resentment that's underneath it. And it's not the resentment as the frustration, because they're like, oh, I don't feel resentment. It's like, no, it's the energy of resentment. He said it is like, if we imagine that things like abandonment, shame, guilt, grief, all of those things are like big bricks in a wall, resentment is the mortar. that holds
Yeah.
all those bricks in place.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you push a brick out through forgiveness or processing or counseling or something like that, you might be able to completely process out the understanding of your childhood shame around a particular issue. You push that brick out of the wall's still standing there, and then the mortar fills the gap.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't create something in that space, it'll fill the gap. And now the resentment has grown. And that's where it moves into the range of disease. So, yeah.
Resentment is
Let
huge.
that go in for a minute. Yep.
So resentment is, I want to share everybody a story around resentment that I was holding towards somebody and I had no idea I was holding it. So it was, I think, November 2023. I'm in Perth, I'm running a retreat and I'm with Shayla. And Shayla had just had a session with Jason and it was around resentment. And she was telling me, like, you know, we need to let go of resentment. We need to let go of resentment. And I'm sitting there going, I don't think I have resentment about anyone. Now, I had just sent a Christmas, you know, call out to the family saying, let's have Christmas lunch at our house. And my uncle, who is like took over the father role with me from the age of like 10 months old, he's always sort of been the dad figure, the father figure. And he said to me, no, we're not going to have Christmas with you this time. We're going somewhere else. And it really hurt me. And I was holding on to this resentment, holding on, holding on, holding on. Now, the resentment wasn't because he said no. The resentment was for older. It was a long time ago. And I'm sitting there with Shayla and she goes, you must hold some resentment. What's a problem in your life right now? I said, oh, my uncle, my aunt, and my cousins aren't coming to mine for Christmas lunch. And it's really hurting me because we weren't invited the year before either. And it hurt me. And she said, you must have resentment around that. And it just like, it fell into me. And I went, holy shit, I have resentment around my uncle because he never walked me down the aisle at my wedding with Anthony. Now that was 14, 15 years ago. And I was like, shit, I'd forgiven him for it. But there was still resentment there. You know, and he had his reasons because my biological father was there and he didn't want to embarrass my father. You know, he was doing the right thing by my father, but for me, like from a little girl, it was my uncle who was always going to walk me down the aisle. I did this process that Jason gave us and I let go of resentment. The next morning, I get a text message from my uncle. This is how far, this is just energy. I get a message from my uncle saying, hey, ma'am, we would love to come for Christmas this year. And I went, oh my God. This shit works. Like this shit works so quickly. It was within 12 hours it worked energetically. That's how quickly it worked. And we had a beautiful Christmas. And then I can't remember, but I started playing around with it going, where else am I getting resentment? Oh, that's right. I made $7,000 that day too.
Yeah.
Because I had resentment around money or something to do or someone connected to my, I can't remember now. Did release the resentment and bang, $7,000 came to my account. I'm like, I just started playing this resentment game going, well, where else can I throw out resentment? And it's literally a game. And it's bang, I would just get people coming in, more money, like people contacting me that haven't contacted me for ages. And I had no idea that resentment was literally my mortar filling up gaps that I wasn't even aware that was there.
And those gaps for what you were creating for manifestation, you wanted that gap so that that energy could come in. But while that resentment fills it, manifestation cannot come in.
No.
Not, and this is a thing that people think is a law of attraction problem. It's like, you know, oh, I'm doing all the things, but it's not coming in. Well, if it's not coming in, it's because there is no vacuum. Must have a vacuum. Nobody talks about this. In order for there to be manifestation to come in, there has to be a vacuum for it to occupy. So resentment is what's filling that vacuum all the time. Yeah. No, that's awesome. It's a great example.
Yeah, and that was real time because this is really the first time I'd heard about resentment. I've always sort of worked with anger, frustration, what I call fuck you energy. They're the three kind of ones. I'd never really worked with resentment before. And it was life-changing for me. And instant, like just instant. I didn't wait days, weeks, or months and forgot about it. It was right then and there. It was very, very deep, profound, and in real time.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
That's
That
all
was
right.
amazing. So can you share with people how to release the resentment?
Releasing resentment's really simple,
Mm.
incredibly simple. And the reason for it is that you can't process it out. That's number one problem. You can you can go through the therapy, you can therapize. I can't even say how to say that word now.
Therapize it, yeah.
Yeah, you can therapize it, and you can get to the end of it and go, okay, I understand my resentment, but doesn't mean you've got the energy out.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order to get rid of it, all you have to do is let go.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yep.
all you have to do. You just
Yep.
have to let go. So, this little process I'm going to give you, I got it. I was reading a book about grace and its role in healing by Catherine Ponder,
Mm-hmm.
who I'm a big fan of her work.
We're obsessed by Catherine Ponder work. Like,
Yeah, beautiful,
go
beautiful, beautiful.
read, go listen, stalk this woman, Catherine Ponder. She's incredible.
Yeah. So the book I was reading was The Dynamic Laws of Healing,
Mm-hmm.
and it's all about the application of grace in healing. Beautiful, beautiful book. And in that, she just gives an example of a little prayer that she says. And what it is I fully and freely release all resentment directly to source.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to put a few bits in it. So to make it really work. So it is, first of all, you have to release your attachment to the offender and the offense. So, like you did, your uncle
Mm-hmm.
for not walking you down the aisle,
Yep.
right? When you've got that clarity on it, now it knows how to let go.
Mm-hmm.
If you go, I just release all resentment, well, you're just kind of scraping the surface of it. You're not getting
Yeah.
anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've got to have, so I freely and fully release all resentment towards my uncle for not walking me down the aisle. I release it entirely to source.
Yep.
And then what happens is you just got to sit with it and just keep turning it over that intention, intention, intention. Usually it takes seconds. But what'll happen is you'll feel it let go. And it's a very weird thing when it does. It's kind of a weird kind of a sigh that happens. It's almost like an exhalation and a sigh, and the heart opens and the
Mm-hmm.
intercostal relax. And you feel, literally physically feel it leave. And when you've done that, then what you do is you release the resentment that you hold towards yourself for your participation in that.
That was a
That's
big
usually
one
the
for
big one.
me.
Yeah, that's the
I
big one.
burst into tears around that one.
Yeah, yeah. For most people, that's about 80% of their resentment.
Yeah.
That it's not that something awful happened to them or people didn't treat them the way they felt they should have. It's the fact that
Mm.
they didn't do anything about it at the time, that they suppressed it. That's what we've
Yeah.
got to let go of. So we do that. And when we let go of that, then you can move into forgiveness.
I
So
love it. When I was releasing resentment around my father, it was that was actually really easy. It was a part where, because I say, I now release resentment of myself for my participation in this resentment. And I just flashed back to all these times where I was like a kicked puppy and I just
yeah,
kept going back to the narcissist and waiting
yeah,
to be kicked and waiting to be kicked and waiting to be kicked. And it was like that really made me cry. And it was so beautiful to let go of that resentment. There is something that I say afterwards. So this is what I say. I freely and fully release all resentment in regards to whoever, say my uncle for not walking me down the aisle, to God entirely. I now release resentment of myself for my participation in this resentment. Then I add, and I thank God for the divine achievement and fulfillment in this.
beautiful.
And so what that last bit does, it puts me into a focus of it's achieved and what does it look like and feel like for me.
Yeah,
So what I kind of do is I'm pulling out the resentment and I'm quickly filling that water. Right?
that's
There's
right.
no room for anything negative. Like I'm putting in that mortar now of fulfillment of like this is already achieved. It's done.
Yeah,
Now what? Now who am I? Now what do I do? Now how do I feel? What's my new identity basically after that?
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is a very, very powerful tool. And I'm so glad that you shared that, because I had the most beautiful Christmas. And it
It's
took me,
simple.
we were driving, like Shayla and I were driving to Perth airport. That's how quickly it was. I wasn't pulled over. I wasn't processing this big, long thing. It was just, we were just reciting this.
Yeah.
And it was done.
Yeah.
And then 12 hours later, I get this beautiful text from my uncle saying, yeah, we do want to come. We would love to come. And I'm like, there was no room for his love in my resentment to him.
That's right.
We were on different frequencies. He's on this love, let's have fun frequency, and I'm on this fuck you frequency.
Yeah, that's right.
He doesn't want to play that game. He doesn't want to play that. And then as soon as I released it, and it was invisible, I didn't know it was there. I had no idea it was there. And then when it was released, I have all this room for now. We have room for love. Now we have room for fun. Now we have room for the family.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Yeah, it's a big deal. If you've got where, like, manifestation is instantaneous.
Yes.
That's the thing. If you've got stuff that's dragging, if you've got a relationship that's suffering, if you've got people are not paying you on time, there's resentment in there, and you're not aware of it. But that's where you go looking. So if you're trying to manifest something and it's not turning up, clear the resentment out of it.
Yeah.
Said suddenly it's got space to exist in. Yeah, it's an astonishing process. Beautiful in simplicity. And
Yeah.
it comes from a philosophy which is really an observation of reality, that grace is the fundamental of all healing. Whether you're healing your finances, your body, mental health, relationship, doesn't matter what it is, grace is the fundamental. Yeah.
I love it. Is there anything else you want to share with these amazing people listening? And thanks, guys, for listening. We love doing this podcast. We want to give you gold. We just want everyone to fucking do well, feel good, be good. Is there anything else, Jason, that you need to share with these amazing peeps?
I think I should just explain, people are not familiar with the term grace, that what grace is it is the infinite kindness of the divine that's extended to us for no reason other than the fact that we are part of existence. We don't have to earn it. There's no technique involved. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is allow it into your life. So, and it's as simple as that.
That is beautiful. That's so beautiful. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You know where to find us, soulalignedresults.com. We're on the social media, Soul Aligned Results. Please message us, contact us. We want to hear from you. We want to get to know you. We want a relationship with you. Please check us out. We're always doing retreats and we're doing master classes. We're always doing something. So please jump in. We would love to see you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Jason.
Thanks, Emma. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.